Welcome back. We're back. Two fans, one Paul. Self David Quist. Lovely co-host KB Kirk Brown. Week 14. Rivalry week. Going into Thanksgiving tomorrow. It's a great time to be alive. I think I'm getting a little sick, though. We'll see how we feel going forward. Good slate of games, KB. We'll talk about Michigan State for maybe 2 minutes because it don't matter. Might be a lot to talk about, though, this weekend with coaches and everything coming along and more people getting fired. Brian Kelly is going to get paid out all of his money, it looks like, for... I just saw some on ESPN. So he's going to get
the Raiders, yeah,
$57 million for Kelly. Looks like he's going to get all his money. Anyway, can we throw it to you, see how Arizona is, and we'll jump in Texas A&M to start us off.
Yeah, terrific. One of my favorite weekends. Hopefully you are okay, Quist. We don't want people spreading germs this time of year, at all the Christmas parties, seeing family. So hopefully you feel better, maybe an extra, little glass of orange juice or something, right? That's what they say. But anyway, yeah, excited for this week. Last week of the season, for some of us, it's a rivalry week, for the good schools. I would say that it's a rivalry week. But overall, excited. There's a lot of good games. I think a lot of competitive games. And there's a large amount of games that are going to be playoff deciding impactful games this year. So fun to look at it that way. Quist, if you want to kick us off, Georgia at neutral in Atlanta with Georgia Tech, which is technically where Georgia Tech is, their school's established. So it's actually closer for Georgia Tech, but it's most likely going to be a huge Georgia fan base there that they'll most likely have like 70% of the fans.
Yeah, I misspoke. I said Texas earlier. But yeah, Georgia Tech, 3:30 kick on Friday. I think this is a huge game. I would love to see Georgia Tech put up a fight like last year. The game was kind of goofy. I think Georgia found a way to get a win. I do think this... the problem is Georgia Tech's defense, but I don't know how great this Georgia offense is. Obviously, 2 late touchdowns against Texas. The line is 13.5 in favor of Georgia, KB. Neutral site game, a lot of points. I like those points, honestly, with this Haynes King's offense. I think Georgia Tech's defense is a problem. It can be sliced and diced, but I like that line too much. I'm going to go with... the Yellow Jackets and the points here. It's just too much for me. Hopefully Haynes King has a hell of a game, keeps it close. I would love Georgia to lose, if I'm being honest here, KB. Give me Yellow Jackets and the points. Haynes King goes off again.
Yeah, I mean, Haynes King's last regular season game obviously lost the last one for the Yellow Jackets. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think this is going to be obviously a legacy game. If he could win this, that would definitely cement himself knocking Georgia out of the playoffs possibly. I still believe that they'd have a chance for the SEC title game due to like all the factors going back and forth because it's not a conference game. But overall, I don't think Georgia Tech is going to have enough. Whenever Georgia's played a somewhat suspect defense, they put up points. Mississippi State, they put up 41. Where was it here? Ole Miss, they put up 43. Tennessee, they put up 44. So if this team faces a defense that isn't really solid, that can out-physical them, they've put up a lot of points. And I think Georgia Tech is going to have to score 40+. And I think it's just going to be too much because Haynes King last year had Eric Singleton on this team that could win outside. And they don't necessarily have that elite level type of receiver that can stress a defense. But yeah, this game was really close last year, even though we weren't expecting it. So then can they dial up enough craziness here down the stretch to, upset Georgia? But Georgia's going to have their, focus really, really prepared. I don't think they're going to, lay an egg. They had Charlotte last week. This game's really important because you want to kind of knock Georgia out of any contention, or Georgia Tech out of any contention, and they're much better this year. So I think you're going to have kind of your alert signals up. I think Georgia's going to be able to run away with this game. Like 40-something to 20-something is kind of the line that I'm seeing. I haven't looked at the over-under. The over-under's around 59.5. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about here, and I think Georgia's going to be able to run away with this one at, basically a neutral site, at a neutral site, but going to be a home favorite crowd for them.
Yeah, it looks. They're playing for the Governor's Cup, and it's Clean Old-Fashioned Hate is the name of the rival. You kind of love that whole Wikipedia page based on that, so it's kind of cool. But I feel like KB. Let's jump to the next game, another rival game. Friend of the program, Jeff, is a big one for him. Texas A&M, undefeated, 11-0, goes to Texas. Spread is tight, KB, -1.5, so a slight home dog for the Longhorns. How you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, if this were a regular playoff season, well, I shouldn't say regular. If this was a 14 playoff season, I think that there would be juice to this game where this is, fighting for their life. Texas A&M is in regardless of the outcome of this game. So I think that this can kind of impact the focus of this week. Obviously, it's still a rivalry week, but the team and players know that this isn't the end of the road. This isn't, the end point of the season. Regardless of how they perform in this game, they're most likely in. Now, this game's interesting because Texas maybe still has a chance. Michigan did jump them in the poll, but if they have this win against a top 3 team, Michigan has a win against the top 1 team, that's going to get really weird for what the outcome looks like. Because is this the first 3-loss team that ever makes the playoffs if they beat Texas A&M? I think so. So there's still a lot to fight for Texas. I think that's going to be the difference where A&M doesn't. It sucks that regular season games lack importance. Obviously, more teams have important games, but the best teams don't necessarily need to perform their best. But this is rivalry week, so there's still hatred there. But you got to remember, too, like, these guys didn't play for a long time. Last year was the first iteration of the game. Texas came in prepared, out-physicaled them. Let's see how Texas does. I'm taking Texas to win this game just because I don't know if A&M's going to be as prepared, as mentally focused as you need to be, because no offense, but I don't know how much the outcome of the game impacts their whole entire season. We saw this with Ohio State last year. They looked completely unprepared at the last regular season game against Michigan. Michigan basically out-physicaled them at every aspect of the game. They played a hell of a game. I mean, Michigan still won while committing 2 turnovers, so it's not even like they played a perfect game. They threw for like 60 yards, but it wasn't as important for them. It didn't. So I just don't know how that's going to play and impact this game. Quist, what are we thinking on it? That's kind of my thing. Is I'm just a little concerned they won't be as focused, as maybe they would be. Also, a short week, obviously, with a Friday game.
I do think in this instance, KB, I understand your thoughts. I think in a rival game, though, it does matter. Maybe play it earlier this season. I don't know. It's always been played this week. I do think it's less juice to it. But I totally understand your train of thought. I think A&M's going to get up for it. I think it means a lot to them. Obviously, their cult fan base might fall apart if they lose another one at Texas here. I think A&M's too much. I think Elko gets the boys going. The defense is good. Maybe they find ways to get Arch, happy feet. Love to see Marcel Reed and that offense get going. It'll be a tight game. It'll be a fun game. I think A&M's just too much for Texas this year. I think Sark has been too much on Arch, and I think we've seen Arch grow a little bit this year. I do think there's still a lot on his shoulders, which sucks because I think maybe he gets there in a couple years, but a lot fell on him this year, and they're still 8-3, which is still pretty good. I know Texas is the big brand, the big name, and I bet you the committee would love to have them in the playoff. The playoff committee guy made a 6-7 joke yesterday, and it just looked bad. It's just a bad
unserious organization, the NCAA is. I do want to talk about one more thing, Quist. The
playoff is not even part of the NCAA. Fun fact.
Yeah, but the NCAA is just like colleges, and the college ADs are the. So it's all the same.
It's all true.
Anyway, the one matchup here is how does Cassius Howell and this Texas A&M D-line pressure Arch? Because that's the one thing that we've kind of seen fluster Arch this year. He's played some good games. He's played some really spectacular games. But against the better defenses that can get after the passer with how young this offensive line is, that's when we've seen the games where Arch gets quick feet, where the offense can't get through its progressions. When you can't establish the run, Arch isn't the same player as when you can. So that's one of my keys to the success here is I think this matchup favors A&M, but I think Texas is going to match them this late into the season with some really well-scouted opportunities, because we've seen this A&M defense give up 40 points, give up 30 points, give up huge swaths of points, especially in bunches, to teams that can push the ball vertically downfield if they can protect. So that's really going to be the thing. Is Texas going to be able to protect, stop these edge rushers from getting after Arch and speeding them up? Quist, back to you. Sorry.
No, you're good. I don't think they can do enough for him. I think A&M gets in his face a little bit. Maybe not a lot of sacks, but gets him running. And he's athletic, so maybe he runs the ball more than they would like him to. Maybe take some hits. But I just think A&M's too much. They fly around, and Marcel Reed is athletic and he can get things going with Concepcion, and they have some decent running backs as well at A&M. So looking forward to hopefully watching that on Friday. So I'm going to go with the Aggies to win. It's a tight spread, KB. It's pretty much a pick 'em. Texas is the home dog. Did you make your pick?
Yeah, I'm taking Texas.
Okay, sorry, brain frog. Let's jump.
Frog, very interesting.
Yep, fog. It's how we're feeling. It's been creeping on. Anyway, let's jump to the game. KB, your game. One Ohio State going to Michigan, noon kick, obviously on Saturday. The line is pretty juicy, 9.5. Started at 11.5, so a little bit of money going towards Michigan. I'll be really quick. If Ohio State doesn't do what they did last year, where they try to out physical, out Michigan, they'll win the game. If they throw the ball around, let Sayan be in control. Give the ball to the receivers. Hopefully Tate and Smith are back. They rested. Tate's been out the last 2 or 3 weeks. Smith didn't play last week. Obviously, the other guys, Ennis and Claire at tight end, and the running backs have kind of emerged to be, figuring it out. I think they can beat Michigan. If they try to do what they did last year, where they try to run the ball down Michigan's throat, and I know Sayan might be a better quarterback overall than Will Howard. Will Howard did win a natty. I think they'll be just fine. I think the Ohio State defense is fine. Really, I think putting pressure on Bryce would be key here. Make the receivers make plays. Obviously, Angel Marsh has stepped up big time the last few weeks, but really wanted, I've been saying it all season now, a broken record, Michigan's receivers, besides Marsh, if they can bracket him, who's going to step up? And obviously the run game, you need a healthy running back for Michigan. If Marshall gets banged up and can't get going, I think that hurts you big time. Cusdale, he's solid, but obviously he's a third string, fourth string guy. If Ohio State plays smart and doesn't be a cuck like they were last year with Ryan Day, they win the game. But if they, play into Michigan's hand, I think it could be really interesting and close.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, like, this whole entire narrative that Ohio State ran the ball too much is like, yeah, because Michigan was playing 2 safeties deep. And so, like, what is a Ryan Day offense? If you're playing 2 safeties deep and you're playing with a light box, we're going to run. That's the philosophy of his offense. And it worked in 90% of the games last year. It's just in this particular game, because Michigan had 2 first-round draft picks, they out-physicaled them at the point of attack all game. Like,
Fair.
that's really what it was. So I do got to say, Sayan is an incredible quarterback. He might break the NCAA completion record percentage for a regular season. He's at, I believe, like 80%, which is absolutely incredible because there are a lot of quick passes and stuff, but he has been pushing the ball down the field. You don't put up those numbers without being able to do it, and isn't a ton of screens and gimmicky stuff. He's running a real college offense that we've seen out of Ryan Day. It's going to be a cold game. The weather is predicted to be 29, possible snow in the second half. I think that favors a ground and pound approach, so it's going to be interesting to see how Ohio State approaches the game. I feel like what Ohio State has more so done the last couple of years, I think 2021, Michigan really blew them out and just blew them out off the line of scrimmage. They had like 5 sacks. They ran for like 200-plus yards. The last couple of years, it's really been kind of which team is going to make the mistake. Ryan Day's playing, hey, we have so many better players, which they do. They recruit. Michigan recruits at a, I would say, good to great level, but Ohio State recruits at an elite level, the best in the Big Ten by far. And he's kind of just said, look, we just need our players to make plays. And the Michigan lower-ranked recruits have outplayed them playing that ball the last 2 years. So I think that's more so the matchup for this game is, are you going to try to be more creative? Are you going to try trick? I haven't seen Ohio State like run a trick play in like 3 or 4 years. Michigan's running multiple every single game in this game. So it's kind of like Michigan's playing, hey, you have everything, not everything to play for, but you're the favored team. You have all the pressure on your shoulder. We're going to play loose. We're going to play how we want to play, and you're going to try to match that, and it hasn't worked out. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think that there's huge opportunities for Michigan to pressure Sayan. He hasn't been pressured much this year, but I feel like there's been some cracks on the O-line. But if our second-string D-line get in there, I'm a little concerned because Michigan has been doing full subs. So if you don't see 8 and 1 on the edges, those are our best players on the defensive line, Moore and Jayshawn Barham. If you see them walk off the field, see what Ohio State does. See Ohio State attacking the edges and runs. See them running screens to that side because they're less disciplined. See them really dropping back for a really deep, long pass process if that happens. So hopefully Michigan can play their starters a little more after they've really haven't played them. Our starting edge, Derek Moore, who has a 90+% grade or 90 grade on PFF, which whatever you will on PFF, they do a lot of good. He's played 54% of the snaps, and it's not because he's bad against the run. They've just been subbing guys out. So hopefully they've saved up all those snaps to use them in this week of the season. But I think this game's going to come down to how do the DBs play, as it usually does against Ohio State. Michigan DBs have not been tracking the ball well. We saw it twice versus Washington where DBs, whenever they have to break down their feet to stop a jump ball or back shoulder throw, they just fall. It's like they aren't strong enough in their bottom half to break down while the receiver's playing physically with them. And if you don't do that against Ohio State, they're going to throw the fuck out of the ball. They're just going to back shoulder you all day. So I think that there's a lot of things here, but all day, all that good stuff. In Michigan, obviously, true freshman starting in this game, and true freshman's never won on Michigan's side starting in this game. It's a ton of pressure. I'm going to be interested to see how the offense goes, how they decide to attack the best defense in the country, because as much as we hated Matt Patricia as the Lions coordinator, he's done a lot of, or head coach, he's done a lot of good things with the defense. I mean, when you have like 3 or 4 first-round draft picks, it helps. I mean, look at Michigan's defense. You get a guy that knows NFL schemes and can bring them and dumb them down enough for college. I expect them to pressure the fuck out of Bryce. I expect them to blitz the fuck out of him, bringing 5 at minimum every time, having your guys win individual block sets, because I don't know who on Michigan's offense is going to win. Like you said, Marsh has played well, but they have some really, really effective high-end corners. So, like, are they going to do what we saw in 2022 when Ohio State just played match zero coverage to stop the run, not let them get in a rhythm, and then Michigan just gets, like, 10 explosive plays because they're one-on-oneing everything? We might, and are they going to trust Underwood to do that? I don't know. I think you're going to get a little bit of a mixed bag, but you're going to see a lot of pressure. At the end of the day, I'm not making a rational decision here. I predicted preseason. I said Michigan is going to win their first game, going on the road to Oklahoma. They're going to lose that game. They're going to win. They're going to beat Nebraska sneakily because Nebraska is going to Nebraska, and they're going to win a close game because they never win those. And I said, look, I think going out west against USC, they're going to lose. So everything I've said all year, as I was like, they're going to get to the game. They're going to be 9-2 with the world in their hand, and you got to just root for them. So I'm going to stick to my preseason guns of perfectly predicting how the season is going to unfold and pick Michigan to win this game. I get 9 points. They're at home. And all the pressure, I know people are like, oh, well, Michigan, if they don't win, they're not in the playoffs. Look, 9-3 with a true freshman running back with 50% of your snaps being played by true freshmen. The pressure isn't on Michigan, man. Like, if they play a horrible game, it doesn't really matter. Like, obviously, I want them to win, and there's a lot of expectations, but the season isn't a failure. If Ohio State, after playing this well all year, mauling everyone, if they lose this game again, it's going to be like, what the fuck is happening against Michigan? And one last thing, Quist, I know I've taken up a lot of time talking about this.
It's a big game. It's the biggest game for you guys.
But the last, I would say from 2000 to 2020, I'm not going to call them unlucky plays, but all of the key moments of plays, all of the opportunities that Michigan had, they fucked up.
Ohio State had your number relatively for a while.
Yeah. In 2016, a ball sails 15 yards over a wide receiver heads. It would have been a Michigan ball. They would have been able to ice the game out. A DB jumps and is too aggressive, too flustered, pass interference. Now, was the ball catchable? No, because it was 12 yards above his head, but they called it, and it was probably the right call. But, like, those plays, Ohio State had a fumble that bounced on bounced and it directly bounced into the running back's hands, and he gained a first down on it. It was like 3rd and 7. Like, those plays just always went against Michigan. And it feels like the last 4 or 5 years is like whenever a big play from Ohio State happens, immediately Michigan steps up. Immediately Michigan makes a play. And that's been the difference over the course of what's happened 2021 to 2024, is that Michigan hasn't let bad plays compound, and Ohio State has. Because I said last year, look, I didn't pick Michigan for this game. I said, but if it's in the fourth quarter and it's tight, Ryan Day's little scared butthole is going to pucker.
Nice and tight.
We see it. We see it every year in this game. Look, Ryan Day plays a lot of good games, but like when it's in the fourth, that's who he is against Michigan. I'm not saying that's who he is as a coach. He's probably he might go down as the best coach ever. He's on pace to do that at Ohio State, especially if he wins a couple more natties. Yeah, but I mean, again, just incredible. But fourth quarter tight games, man, he just tightens up. And you feel that over all the team. You feel it in the players. And that's how Michigan was for a long time. And that's all I have to say. Is like, if it gets in the fourth quarter and it's close again, watch the dumb shit Ohio State does. Watch the stupid things they do.
If they start talking about firing him again, that's just insane. I mean, I know it's a big game. It's a rival. You want to beat him. I get it. I mean, but he just won a natty, and he wins 98% of the other games.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But like, here's my funniest thing is, and this is all Twitter stuff, so it's just a pile of garbage. But OSU fans are like, why is everyone dunking on Ryan Day? Michigan fans, blah 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 blah. It's like you guys wanted him murdered. Like he had to get extra security for his house because of all the threats he was getting. And then you luck into a playoff spot for 200 years of college football. You would have never had an opportunity to win a natty. You had 2 losses, and you get in on behalf of an expanded playoff in the first year, and that's great.
You wagging
But
it.
like that's the reality, right? Is like you guys got into an opportunity and you made the most of it. But you had like 3 weeks to reassess, retrain, and get over all those deficiencies you had. But for 200 years, he might have been fired after losing the third, So like, I think he's a great coach, but like, I just when it gets in the fourth quarter, if it's tight, just watch
Pucker,
what happens. Watch
pucker.
the shift.
Yeah.
He's gonna instead of running for it on a 3rd and 1 or running for it on a 4th and 1, he's gonna Y action, Y delay a play, and tight end's gonna get covered. Like that. That's the stuff he does because he's scared. He's scared of this matchup for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he needs to be aggressive. If he's aggressive in this game and they lose, whatever. Because like I said, they're most likely in anyway. But who knows how everything's going to play out. But anyway.
It'll be a fun one. Noon o'clock Saturday, Fox, I believe. It's always big noon. We'll be dialed in. We'll go to the next game. KB, another.
And you took OSU, correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna go OSU. I think they're aggressive. I think saying's too much. It's at Michigan though, so you never know. I just think when did they? I was thinking of like Ohio State blew Michigan out a couple of years in a row. Was that before COVID?
Yeah, so 18-19, they blew us out bad.
And then didn't play during
Because
COVID.
that was like, it was a rivalry or revenge tour. And yeah, Michigan just ran man coverage 90% of the game, and Ohio's like, okay, we'll just run Y cross with a deep post, and whichever one you don't cover. That was when Cardell Jones came in the game and then threw for like 4 touchdowns. And
Yep.
like Michigan just played fucking horrible in those games, man. They had their number. And like one of the key things that like no one wants to talk about is Ryan Day was the OC. I believe he entered in 18 or something like that. The defensive coordinator, I can't think of his name right now. Don Brown. They were against each other in UMass. He was the defensive coordinator, so he faced him in practice for like 3 years at UMass, running all the offensive coordinator plays. So like he had his number dialed, and Don Brown was not convinced of changing anything. So
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's jump to the next one. This is a fun one too, KB. Vanderbilt at Tennessee. Vanderbilt kind of playing for a playoff berth here. 3.5 for the Vols. Slightly favored. I think this is a fun game, KB. We haven't really talked about Tennessee a lot. Obviously, Vandy's the fun name, the hot team we like to talk about. And Diego and his mom are all over the media and social media. And I think just because of that, as much as I like to root for Vandy, I'm going to go with Tennessee here. I'm kind of annoyed with Vandy and Diego. He wants another year probably. That's a joke. But I just want to see... I mean, I want Vandy to be there, KB, but I think Tennessee's got too much. Maybe a little spoiler. Joey Aguilar's a solid quarterback. They have ways to get the balls to the guys on Tennessee's offense. With Highpool and how he runs his offense, he spreads it out big time, and they always have decent running back play. So give me the Vols at home in a fun. I think it might be a crazy game down the stretch, KB, but I think Highpool gets the guys going.
Over under 65 and a
65 and a half. Yeah, that's a big one. So I think it'll be a fun game. Diego probably does some crazy stuff, but I think Tennessee maybe wins late. Maybe a late touchdown or field goal at home. But this will be a fun one. I like that over-under. Just for fun, I'll take the over, too. Why not? That's so many points.
Yeah, I'm going to completely disagree, and we've disagreed on every game so far, so maybe we keep it a streak just for the heck of it. And I already had these written down, so I'm not just saying that. But no, I'm taking Vandy. Tennessee hasn't beaten a team this season with a winning record. They've played close against just about anyone, but their defense has been absolutely porous. They've let up a bunch of points every single week. Vandy, Diego Pavia, legacy game, possibly getting into the playoff with this top 25 win with Tennessee with 3 losses. So I think this is a huge opportunity, and I'm honestly rooting for Vandy. I don't know if I like Diego Pavia and his mom. Stop showing people who aren't on the field. I want to see people who aren't on the field, one, time a half, I think, is a good standard. You show them, hey, they're in attendance, and then that's your first time in the first half, so you should use it after a big play when they're cheering, and then in the second half after another big play. No one gives a fuck about singular individuals in the crowd. We watch college football for two things: the players, which awesome, and then the crowd. Not one person in the crowd, the crowd. The people that are cheering, being loud, being aggressive. We don't give a fuck. I think that's like the thing. But you got to remember who owns all this stuff: TV execs, and who gets to share a clip on X, who gets to share a clip on Instagram. Look at Diego Pavia's mom. We saw fucking 7,000 tweets about it, positive and negative about 50-50, and that drives engagements. And then we talk about it, So that's their formula. But I'm saying, when I'm watching the game, stop. Just stop doing it, man. It's the same thing everywhere. If you show a celebrity in this crowd, perfect. Show them maybe 1-2 times. You don't need to show them 3, 4, 5 times. It's annoying, excessive. But yeah, I love Diego Pavia. He has maybe the best story of any college football athlete. And then Eli Stowers, who was a quarterback transfer of the same community college as Pavia, lost out on the job to Pavia, became a tight end, and is looking at being a top, 5 tight end pick. So in the first 2 days, most likely, because of how impressive he is. So that's the difference maker on Vanderbilt, and I got to root for them. And just because, as a foundational level, Tennessee fans are weenies. We saw what their players did last year against OSU. A lot of weenie behavior coming down there. So I just can't root for them. That's
fair. I feel that, and I don't like it, the pick per se, KB, but just a hunch, I guess. But maybe I wouldn't be against Vandy getting the playoff. It'd be a fun thing to see the last couple of years, along with Indiana, obviously. But next game, KB, the last time we'll talk about my team, unless Coach gets fired in a couple days here. Maryland, Michigan State playing at Detroit, bottom of the Big Ten, 1-7 in Big Ten for them, 0-8 in the Big Ten for us. That's terrible. Spread is 3.5 in favor of Michigan State, surprisingly enough. I will not be in attendance, and I cannot probably sell my tickets, so let's burn a hole in my pocket there. I don't know what to say, KB. The team will find a way to lose this game. Probably be in control most of it. The defense has been playing super well the last few weeks. The refs have fucked us on a couple plays here and there, but then we, let's punt it to one of the best punt returners in the country. Let's not go for 4th and 2 on the 40-yard line or 47-yard line when we get the first down and win the game. Let's not. This is a different opinion. Let's not get in the ref's face when there's a bad play, a PI call in overtime. There's just things where. Maybe they're good coaches, but right now at Michigan State, they're not getting it done. Heart goes out to the players. I think the defense needs to be shouted out, and Rossi as much as we possibly can. They've been playing their asses off. Alessio's been a decent quarterback, gets the job done. We can't run the ball. O-line sucks. Nick Marsh has been hard to find. Maryland's young, has some talent. This is kind of the game of who can fuck it up the most, and I think we do just the way the season's going. So if we do go 0-9 in the Big Ten, I think that's the first time since like the 50s or since we joined the Big Ten.
I don't think you've never lost every single conference game since joining the Big Ten.
That's terrible. So if that happens, we're living through history. 3-9 would be terrible. I think you fire Smith that night or the next morning, and you better have your guy lined up because guys are going to start to fall like dominoes. Obviously, the North Texas coach is going to Oklahoma State. I'm assuming the USF guy might be talking to Arkansas or somebody else. So things are going to start happening quick. So you better have somebody lined up. I wouldn't mind the JMU guy. There's some other people being talked about as well. We'll have to see what happens. Hartline's a good pick as well, in my opinion, KB, for coaches. We'll get there hopefully in a week or two, maybe less. But yeah, give me Maryland. I don't know why. We can't cover, obviously, because we're favorites. But, I hope I'm wrong on this one. At least we get a win to end the year here.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a win and carry Smith off the field. And then he gets fired. No, I'm just kidding. Gut feeling for me, Quist, is that if they were serious about this situation, you fire him weeks ago because you already have to have that process going on. You already have to have interviewing with how many other key jobs. I think they're sticking with them. I know you have people that have people.
Somebody told me something else yesterday or today. So
I know, but I'm just saying the gut reaction is that if it didn't happen sooner, your AD, who you just got, should be on the chopping block. There's no reason to hang on to a dead coach. No, there's no reason to hang on to a dead coach who's going to his fucking deathbed, regardless of the outcome. What's the impact of firing him a couple weeks later?
I'm just saying, like, he might have to keep him on at Michigan State because we don't have the money to
No,
buy him
but
out.
I'm saying if you keep him next year, that's fine. I'm saying if you fire him two
Yeah, I
weeks
don't
from
know.
now, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Chris. If you fire him 2 weeks from now, that's
You got to
malpractice
fire
by
him
your
on Sunday
AD.
at the latest.
Well, whatever it is. There's 12 there's not 12. There's like 8 D1 openings at schools around the same size at around the same contention level. They've been doing the interview process for weeks. They've been getting boosters and funding and NIL stuff for weeks to set up a plan. You're going to be 2 months behind all of your peers looking for a coach.
Unless they're doing things behind the scenes, but I doubt it the way
Right,
things are
right,
going.
but that's what I'm saying is like most likely in my gut I'm like they would have fired him if they were serious about it. I feel like they're going to give him one more season because your AD it's his first year, right?
Yeah, he got hired in this summer, I think, and
Yeah,
obviously he's just getting around to hiring all of his staff. We just hired a guy from Purdue a couple weeks ago.
right.
And
He
some
he
other stuff
might
like that.
he might want some more stability in his team to understand where everything's at, meet with more NIL, so that hey, if things go off the rails week 4 next year, we can fire him off a cannon early and be more prepared for the hiring process and starting all of that earlier. That's what I feel about this. But I'm taking MSU to cover because they're the cover kings.
We're favorites.
I know, but they cover. I think they're going to win by 7 points.
Oh, I got
Maryland can't do a lot well. I just don't see this team being in a good spot at this point of the season. Fun fact, Malik Washington is thrown for 2,500 yards, 14 TDs, 8 INTs. Really impressive season. I hope he stays at Maryland, but most likely he's going to get shopped. I also saw that Dylan Raiola may be getting shopped along with Sam Levitt. So it's just going to be really, really interesting to see how all this plays out. But this is a very disappointing effort on how it is. But one of the key things that I still think about for MSU, this is supposed to be a rough and tough O-line guy, and they haven't put together an O-line. Part of that is who the players are, but I feel like a bigger part of it is maybe a look at the strength and conditioning coach because you guys have been so fucking injured on both trenches so far that it's hard to build. You guys are on like your 5th center, your 3rd right guard.
Nope, Goldman
like
is still the starter.
No, but you get what I'm saying.
Yep,
Like, I heard the starting line combinations last
It's
week.
the most.
And it was like, yeah, that's
And
what I'm saying.
Iowa's
So,
is like one. Yeah.
yeah. So like that's what I'm saying is like his foundation is built on that play and his offense is built on that play. And is it disappointing he hasn't made an adjustment? Yeah, but when you are on so many different combinations, it's hard to have a competent looking offense. So that's maybe the only saving grace of all this. But if by next year it's still a fucking shit show, we know what it is. But anyway, I'm taking MSU because they're the cover kings.
Yeah.
Wait, we took all different opinions this week, so
we totally
we're gonna
did.
have a very
Except for
fun
one more. We totally did. I do think I don't know what I really like the JMU guy. I don't know why, but I wonder how young that quarterback is. He's been pretty good. And obviously, if Smith gets fired, who knows? You know where Childs goes. Watch him go somewhere and light it up. If Alessio stays, you know what could I mean, if JMU's coach leaves again within the next 2 to 3 years, say he goes somewhere else, KB, and decimates a program again, and if they still stay relevant, that's just a good fucking program because it could happen again if their coach gets hired somewhere else.
Alonzo Barnett is a junior.
He's got a year.
He's a redshirt junior, so he has one more year left. He's played 4 seasons at JMU, so he's stayed there, most likely graduating this year. He was their starter last year as well.
Good to know. Love that. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I wouldn't mind Heartline either. Lots going to happen in the next 5 to 10 days. Things can start moving fast with a coaching carousel and, Black Monday, whatever they call it in the NFL, but it's going to happen again in college. But last game, KB, the Iron Bowl. This one will be fun. The line opened at 3.5. It's now moved to 6.5 in favor of Bama home dogs with Auburn. 7:30 kick at Jordan Hare. Jordan Hare's goofy. It's spooky. It's weird. The line, Vegas knew something to start. Obviously, the money's moved. Obviously, the quarterback right now for Auburn is the kid from Stanford that transferred. We know Bama. We might agree
Ashton Daniels.
We might agree on this one, KB, because fuck Bama. Sometimes this team looks soft. They lost some obviously a weird game to start the year, and they lost another one. Auburn's been a shit show. They have a really good receiver though. It's at Jordan Hare. Give me the Tigers to fuck up Bama's season. I would love to see that. It'll be goofy, weird game. Maybe it comes down to a field goal like it's happened a bunch of times. Lots of goofy plays have happened at Jordan Hare as well. I just think it's going to be one of those weird games.
The Hail Mary that Milrow threw to go onto the playoff. Remember that 2 years ago?
Well, then you've had the game against Georgia where it was like, I think it was Georgia, like the tip pass. You had a couple other ones. The prayer at Jordan Hare. That might have been that game. But there's another game as well where they had some weird stuff happen. But give me the Tigers. War Eagle. Fuck Bama. Cause some chaos. I would love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm riding with you here. Sorry, like I wanted to go all opposites, but I couldn't do in my gut of guts. I can't root for Bama. I feel like whenever I pick against them, they end up winning though. But still, we got some points. So as long as the cover happens,
yeah, 6.5.
It's just Auburn's defense honestly has been really solid throughout the year. They let up 16 points to A&M. They let up 24 to Oklahoma, 23, and that's including overtime, so 17-17 against Missouri. They got blown out and they didn't get blown out, but they let up a bunch of points to Vanderbilt. But this gets them bowling. I think they're going to be so hyped up for this game. The only concern is, maybe I understand it, but Deuce Knight played a hell of a game. Like one of the best first time starting. I know it was against Mercer. Mercer's fucking horrible. But he looked so calm, cool, collected, ready. I'm just not seeing the choice of being Ashton Daniels as them saying, we're going to come out and try to fucking take over the world. Does that make sense? Like, they didn't come out
Deuce Knight,
and
you think he's going to start?
He started last week. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking about the
He
other
started
kid
last
from
week. He's only played 2 games, so he's not going to burn a red shirt if he would have played.
He can play in a bowl
their
game,
top
too.
end recruit. Yeah, well, yeah, and bowl games don't count. But Ashton Daniels is 538 yards on 80 passes, 2 touchdowns to 1 INT. He's ran for 2. So, like, the QB play has been somewhat improved since kind of everyone's left and he's taken over. But I want to root for Auburn, so that's why I'm doing it. And I think there should be some Deuce Knight packages and maybe some double QB packages to kind of throw some flavor on it. I just hope Auburn throws the kitchen sink at Alabama and wins this game. Even though overall I'm rooting for DeBoer, but there's a lot of rumors that he's going to Penn State, which I believe is super fucking crazy because I think the one thing I was concerned about with Alabama was that when Saban left, I thought their recruiting was going to fall off a hill because I thought they were going there for Saban. But the player development process and everyone in the front office and all the recruiters and developers seem to be a lot of the same, and they're still crushing recruiting. So I don't know a reason why you would go to Penn State to go to a worse process where it sounds like guys are taking less NIL money because there isn't as much funding out there and leave from Alabama. But
I heard Dable is going to Penn State, which is interesting to me or whatever. I don't think he should. Kellen DeBoer has fallen forward over and over again. Penix obviously, and then obviously going to Bama. I would stay there even if it's 9-3 is a down year. Who knows? Who do you think goes to Auburn though, coaching wise? I'm curious to see. They always seem to have money and a big name want to go there, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think the problem with them having the money, that makes you a little bit more beholden to boosters, which means you have to listen to them more, right? I think that no one's really been able to build at Auburn the last couple years. I think it's a very dangerous job in a similar way to LSU. Because their boosters have so much money, so much influence, so much expectations. Like, you've been the second best team in your state for 100 years, and there's expectations that a blip, right?
Before Nick Saban.
And
then they Cam too, yeah.
Yeah, but just overall, it's like you're the second best team in your state historically. That's a really tough place when the expectations are that you are the better team, that you should be winning all these games. And it's like, but like the person, anyway, yeah, it would be really weird for one season, just to be clear, by the way. If DeBoer leaves, he will have not, as a head coach, stayed for anywhere more than 2 years since becoming a head coach. He had 2 years at Fresno State, 2 years at Washington, and he's in his second year at Bama, which would give me a lot of red flags if he's deciding or even entertaining leaving. But that might just be Penn State rumor mill stuff that DeBoer is interested or looking to move. But overall, just kind of thinking about that. But he is a Midwest guy. He's from South Dakota, so maybe he wants to get out of the South. I don't know, but that would be maybe the only reason why.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see where everybody lands here. Obviously, a couple dominoes have fallen. James Franklin, Vandy Tech, North Texas coach, going to Oklahoma State, which has had a terrible year. But we'll see as things go along. In a week, in about 10 days, maybe a lot of things could happen. Obviously, the LSU and Brian Kelly thing is kind of ended. They're going to have to pay him a bunch of money. And we got a great slate of games. Obviously, at Thanksgiving, the Lions play the Packers, big game. And then, we got high school finals Friday, Sunday, and then obviously Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just a lot of good football, KB.
I do hate MSU.
Kind of ruining it. Yep. That's an Alan Haller thing, okay?
Yeah. No, look, I'm aware. I'm just saying I understand that. I know some of those poor Sparty seasons ended up because the weather's usually miserable in the state of Michigan. Like, I don't know why it's always this last week in November, Thanksgiving.
Thank God it didn't go last year. Jesus.
And it's always cold and miserable, especially in like Sparty Stadium where there isn't as much coverage. Especially, I know that wind blows pretty cold down there. I'd been in a really rainy game there, and it was like, God, it feels even colder in the stadium. But it does fuck over high school high school championships, which I don't like because that was one of my favorite memories of Thanksgiving when family members would come over and we'd watch Friday, Saturday football alongside all the college football games we'd want to watch. But with that being said, some of the other rivalry games I want to shout out: Louisville, Kentucky. Kentucky looking for bowl status. Florida State, Florida. Florida State looking for bowl status. Florida is favored by 1.5 in that game. Who's going to Florida? That's always an interesting one. And one more. I think there's one more game I want to mention specifically. Nebraska, Iowa. I know this doesn't have huge implications, but both teams are 7-4, and Nebraska finishing possibly 8-4 in this year of Matt Rule. I don't think it's going to happen because I think Iowa might run for like 700 yards in this game based on the way that Nebraska's defensive front plays, but would be a really impressive accomplishment for how poor that O-line is over there and how poor the pass protection is too.
He might go to Penn State too.
Yep, and then I got to give sorry, I said that already, but last shout out, I just remembered this game. I got to give a shout out to Arizona State.
Arizona's ranked.
State is playing on Friday. Both teams are ranked. It's the oldest rivalry game in the country. Started pre-1900, which is always a fascinating fact. If you love your facts out there, it's the oldest rivalry game in the country, or oldest rivalry trophy in the country. So the Territorial Cup will ensue, and if both teams are maybe competing for a playoff spot, I was anticipating on going to this game Friday, but I really don't want to waste my Friday, so I'm going to just enjoy a nice day off. But appreciate you guys. And, in the last game, Miami Pitt. I think, sorry.
It's slate.
Mentioned Miami Pitt. It's a terrific slate. Miami Pitt. Miami, obviously, on the outside looking in, needs a bunch of different factors.
I sent that to you. Oh, my God. There's so many things that could happen.
We gotta shrink conferences. I don't know if we need to move to double the amount of conferences and just split everything, and you just have East and West, and you only play your East and West, and maybe we figure it out that way. But there needs to be some changes. But Miami is the highest rated ACC team, and if they get another ranked win knocking out Pitt, what happens to them? Are they on the outside looking in with everything going on? Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll see. But excited for this whole entire weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoy this holiday. It's my favorite holiday.
Same.
And enjoy this with your friends, family, loved ones, the people that aren't blood, but you treat them like blood because those are, the best type of people. And hope everyone has a really, really terrific time enjoying things. Hopefully, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for everything you do. Thank you, Quist, for all the work you put in for the podcast. Appreciate of everyone in general. We continue to move on. And go blue.
Big game, KB, coming up. Thanks for that. Appreciate everybody. I do want to shout out the D1 game for high school. It's Cass Tech versus DCC. Both undefeated teams. There's a lot of other good slates. A couple of West Side teams, West Catholic, Unity Christian. I actually know the quarterback for West Side Christian, or West Catholic Small World. But looking forward to the slate of games. My team's dead and gone, but I'll suffer through it and watch them get a win to end everything. But thanks again, as always, guys. Looking forward to a great holiday weekend. And a great slate, and KB and I will be back in a couple days. But thanks as always. And for going into the last game, it's always go green.